Iterate, 6:30 to 7:30 is the college application presentation. The PowerPoint that I'm going to present is also up here so that you don't have to scramble and write notes other than what you want to. At 7:30, Mr. Palladino, our new athletic director, will be presenting on the NC Clearinghouse, and I wanted to differentiate the difference in time so that if you only want to listen to the Clearinghouse, then that's at 7:30. So thank you for coming out. Please grab your desserts, and we're going to go through an overview of the college application process. I have Miss Mitchell here with me tonight helping out. She is a counselor here at the high school, and she takes care of students with the alphabet range of, Miss Mitchell, your alphabet range? MNOP something around there. So she takes care of about 65 of the seniors with that alphabet range. Okay, so I'm sure people will be staggering in and we'll just get started. So that is our eagle. It's our Wanamaker's eagle. So I was able to find that and put that on there. So that is the actual eagle from Wanamaker's, which is our school symbol. So what do you want to do after Norristown Area High School? You know, be successful or be a failure? That's a tricky question because everybody wants to be successful. So I try to educate students that success does not mean I want to make $1 million by the time I'm 30. So when I talk to a student and I say, what do you want to do when you grow up? 2 red flags automatically come up when they say, my mom wants me to be, or they say, I don't care, I just want to make money. I automatically stop everything I'm talking about and we sit and have a conversation about what that actually means. Nowadays, people work till 70. And the people who work to 70, I think it's because they have to work, not because they want to work. I want you to hit 70 and wake up and go to work because you want to work, not because you have to work. So it's really important to pick your career now, or at least pick something that you're passionate about, that you wake up every morning and feel some sort of drive, and I promise you the money will come. Don't think like, oh, there's too many teachers, there's too many nurses. You cannot predict what it's going to be like in 20 years. Teaching, education, nursing, it's ebb and flow. It always in and out. So pick something you're passionate about, and we'll figure out how to make you most marketable in that field. Okay, so real quick, I mean, for students, this is new to them. For adults, I think they kind of figured this out. I always say the more you learn, the more you earn. So I definitely don't mean you need a PhD and everything, but if you're the best cake builder, you know, that you make cakes for the stars, you're learning how to make master crafts. So if you do not have a diploma, you might be making $8.50 at McDonald's, and it might seem very attractive at this moment because you're not making $8.50 on the couch, but the problem is in 10 years, you're still making $8.50 at McDonald's. So you're not gonna get the new iPod 26 anytime soon. So you do wanna realize that 80% of jobs out there require some post-secondary training. So if you have a high school diploma, you're gonna make a little bit more. Some college could be like a certification program, a CNA, something with 1 year. You're gonna make a little bit more. An associate's degree is a 2-year, 60 credit at an accredited school like Montgomery, or you go to Harcum and become a vet tech or a dental hygienist. And yes, they do make a decent amount of money in that short career time that they're getting that certification. Then there's a bachelor's degree, so every single teacher here that teaches your son or daughter has a minimum of a bachelor's degree. And you know, a journalist, a nurse, those things require a minimum of a bachelor's degree. A master's degree is 2 or more years past a bachelor's degree, and of course there are some jobs like school counselor, assistant principal, that you cannot get a job unless you have a master's. And then of course there's doctorate and professional degrees. So although the adults might know this, this is the first time maybe the kids are understanding the outline of, you know, the more you learn, the more you earn. So I always try to say to kids, you know, get that bachelor's degree, get that training, get that under your belt, and at least you'll be marketable and no one's ever gonna take that degree away from you. All right, so dropping out is not an option. We know that negative things can come out of dropping out, and so we try to teach the kids here, do not drop out, there's other ways, and we're going to help you get there. So please come on in, sign in. Now we're getting down to the college portion. So I'm very visual, so I like to find clip art that's visual. And when I think of college, I think of it sort of like a wedding cake, like in tiers. Not like tears crying, but could be. So tiers, the top part is the smallest part of the college admission tiers, and that's what I consider to be Ivy League colleges. It's the smallest part of the cake. It's the hardest to get into. We're talking valedictorians are fighting with valedictorians to get in, and even they don't get in. So that's what I consider is an Ivy League college. We have highly selective colleges. That is also a small piece of the cake, and I will go through what is considered a highly selective college. Then we have PA state colleges. I love PA state colleges. We have 14 here in the state of Pennsylvania. They're all governed by the state of PA. They all cost exactly the same, approximately $10,000 a year. Because your student lives in Pennsylvania, they get an automatic $10,000 scholarship. So if somebody is living in Camden and they want to come over to Westchester, with room and board, they're going to pay $32,000, but your son or daughter will pay $22,000. So sometimes kids are disappointed when they open up their package and they're like, I have a 4.0. How come I didn't get a scholarship at Bloomsburg? Well, you did. It was just an invisible scholarship called the $10,000. And then you might make additional. So there's 14 state colleges. So the reason we're here tonight is to talk about 1, 2, and 3, because 1, 2, and 3 follow the same process. The last part of the cake is other options: military, trade school, technical schools, and community colleges. They have a different application process. You usually do not have to take standardized testing. You need a high school diploma. You might have to take a exercise military type of thing with the military. So number 4 is different on how you get in other than 1, 2, and 3. So we're here to talk about 1, 2, and 3. All right, so post-secondary breakdown. These are the 8 of the hardest colleges on the East Coast to get into. We're talking probably minimum 4.0 GPA, 2,100 on your SATs, so that's 700 critical reading, 700 math, 700 writing, minimum. Right now, the SAT perfect score is 2,400, starting in the class of 2016. So if you have younger daughters and sons, they're going back to the 1,600 scale. They're going to put the writing and the critical reading together and merge it, because 9 years of this new SAT, colleges still don't look at the writing section. It's been 9 years and they still do not look at the writing section. So SATs were realizing they were losing business to ACT for a variety of reasons, and we can talk about that in that slide. So to get into an Ivy League college, and we do have smart students here. Last year we had a student get into University of Penn and she went. University of Penn is extremely difficult to get in, and our student got in last year, so we're very proud of her. Highly selective colleges, I would say that that's Penn State, Maine. Now realize that there are satellite campuses. Not all Penn States are created equally, so I'll go back to that quiz later. There's University of Pittsburgh, Maine, Villanova, Drexel, Notre Dame. Those are what I consider highly selective colleges. They need about a 3.8 or higher, 600 to 700 on your SATs. If you want to go to Penn State, for the past X amount of years that I've been a counselor, I could look at a student's transcript and in 2 seconds know if that student can get into Penn State. It's usually the top 10% of the class, 600 on your SATs. If you don't have that combination, they will then put you in a satellite campus, and then you maybe do 2 years there, and then funnel your back to the main campus. So now they all claim we're all Penn State, but Penn State in Maine needs you to be like 4.0, but Penn State Schuylkill Haven or Penn State Berks, I can get you in at a 2.8. So not all Penn States are created equally. So same thing with the University of Pittsburgh. You want to go to University of Pittsburgh, 600 or higher, and 3.8 or 9 or higher. Highly competitive, and Villanova is also in that range. Then I pay a lot of homage to the state schools. So when I have a college fair, I make sure all 14 are here. When I do college representatives, I make sure as many as possible come, because we are a state school type of environment. I love state schools. I went to a state school. I got a great job out of college, but I didn't go into debt. And so, you know, it's okay to take out $100,000 in loans, but you better be making $100,000 or $200,000. It's silly to be taking out $100,000 in loans and you make $45,000 out the gate. You'll just be constantly paying back student loans. So a part of my educating students is also talking about the financial piece of that as well. So here are the 14 state colleges, if you did not know. I try to get as many of them to come and talk to our kids as possible. Westchester is coming on Monday, so hopefully your student has been going on Naviance and electronically signing themselves up. Not all state colleges are also created the same. Which is the hardest state college to get into? I heard the answer here, but I want to know if Westchester is the hardest to get into. Who here does not know their son's or daughter's GPA? I will show you how to look that up in Naviance and eSchool. Your son or daughter has to know their GPA. Unfortunately, in a very busy college application season, I mean, we're talking Penn State gets 10,000 applications between the months of September and December. They can't meet your son or daughter. So your son or daughter does become a number and their application packet. So the number one number is GPA. We have a 4.0 weighted GPA scale here at Norristown. And then the next number is your SAT or ACT, and then some. So 14 state colleges, the hardest to get into is Westchester University. You need about a 375 or higher, a 550 on the SATs. So when I say not all state universities are created equally, yes, they're governed by the state. They follow rules and regulations of the state. They're the same price. They have to hire teachers with master's degrees. But they're not all the same, because I can get a student into Edinburgh at a 2.8, 400 SAT, yet Westchester 3.75, 550 SAT. Anyone know why that is? What does an 18-year-old want to do? Do you want to go to college and look out the window and see a cow? Or do you want to look out the window and see a vibrant town? Location, 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 and obviously good program. Westchester is just the hub of everything. They have great education, great business program, and they're in the great location. Edinburgh, no offense to Edinburgh, out in Erie, kind of just not something a student may be interested in. So at the end of the day, a college is still a business. They still need to accept students to enroll in their business. So some schools do have to lower their GPA to fill the seats, where Westchester doesn't have to. So as far as the rest of the schools, I'd say Bloomsburg 3.2, California University 3.0, Cheney 2.8 or higher, IUP 2.8 or higher, Kutztown 3.0, Millersville 3.0, Shippensburg 3.0. So you get the gist. The magical word is 3.0 on your GPA, and try to hit the state average on your SATs, which is 500. Those two magical words kind of opens up a lot of doors for your child. And then Montgomery Community College, for those that don't know, I love Montgomery Community College. It's $4,500 a year. So your child can take out a student loan under their name that covers 100% of the tuition of Montgomery County Community College. Montgomery County Community College is a beautiful campus with 10,000 students, brand new state-of-the-art communications and science buildings. They have an accreditation agreement with 30 colleges out there, including Temple and Westchester and all of these state schools. They say that if you go and get an associate's degree from them, which is 60 credits, you can transfer all those 60 credits over to the following 30 colleges seamlessly and finish out your degree and get a bachelor's degree for a fraction of the price. So if you did your math right, $4,500 freshman year, $4,500 sophomore year. I live at home and go to Westchester, and it's about $10,000. I live at home senior year, it's $10,000. My whole undergraduate degree is what, $30,000. And I go get a job that makes $45,000, so I'm already above the curve. So if you play your games, your cards right, you don't have to be. The guy who interviews you doesn't care or need to know that you're in $200,000 debt. They don't care. They just want to know, what experience do you have? What can you produce? What was your GPA? That's what they care about. But you have all this excess. So when you talk about college, there's always that financial piece. So I do love Montgomery County Community College, and if your child just needs, that extra step, maybe a smaller classroom setting or money is an issue, definitely look into a community college. All right, so the college admission process needs all of this. So every slide after this addresses all of this. Again, Steps 1, 2, and 3 tier, Montgo does not need SATs. It's an open enrollment. Trade schools, military, tech schools, they do not need SATs. They just need you to have a high school diploma, maybe do a little essay, things like that. But if you're trying to go to Harvard or Westchester or Villanova, this is everything that you need. Okay, so again, I'm very visual. This is pretty much the breakdown. For the most part, every school follows this breakdown, except for Penn State. Penn State is 2/3 GPA, 1/3 SAT, ACT. That's it. They throw out letters of recommendations and any extra stuff. Temple, 50% GPA, 40% SAT or ACT, and 10% everything else. But for the remainder of the schools out there, this is the breakdown. 40% of your points comes from GPA and rigor of courses. So if you tell a college that you want to be a bio major because you want to be a pre-med, they better see 4, 5, 6 sciences on your transcript. That is called rigor of courses. So they better see bio, bio 2, anatomy, physics, chemistry, because every other student in the surrounding district has that many, and you want your son or daughter to be as competitive. So that's rigor of courses. There's standardized testing. Oh, let's go back here. This is something, it's kind of a secret. It took me a long time to figure it out. If your son or daughter's GPA is a 4.4, is it really a 4.4 at the college admissions officer's door? It is not. If you go to an Ivy League college, if you go to a highly selective college, they will throw out the basket weavings and the sewing class and the gym class and all the extracurricular activities, and they recalculate the top 5, math, science, social studies, English, and foreign language. So your son's or daughter's GPA is really not the GPA that you think that it is. It does get recalculated. But if you do go to a state school, they will take it at face value. Okay, so the other 40 points comes from standardized testing, which is ACT or SAT. Do I think both tests are completely ridiculous? Yes. Do I think that it is absolutely not a measure of your son or daughter's intelligence? Absolutely. But unfortunately, I'd be lying if I told you it didn't count 40%'s worth. So it is something you have to take seriously. I could give you all the tips and strategies, but it is just going to take some good old-fashioned studying. All right, letters of recommendations. I'm going to teach you how to get them, and kids really should be doing a resume, and we have a resume builder on Naviance, and the essay portion. Okay, so much of mumbo jumbo. So let's break it down. If you got admitted, great, I got admitted. If I got denied, that stinks. Then there's a bunch of other words that you really would hear. Unfortunately, kids at Norristown Area High School fall on the deferred list a lot. What that means is you're on the maybe list. You have a high GPA, low SAT, high GPA. There's some combination there that did not automatically put you in the yes list. So when you get deferred, you also get like a little notice that says, please take another standardized test. Please, I'll wait till first marking period. I'll wait till second marking period. I'll wait till mid-marks. I had a college tell a student they were going to wait till the end of third marking period. That's torturous, but I've seen it happen. So deferred means exactly that. You're on the maybe list. Now, there's 2 fancy words that people get really confused about: early action and early decision. I tried to line up the letters so that it looks exactly the same up until a certain point. Early action and early decision means this: oh, Harvard, I love you so very much that I got the best GPA that I could at the end of junior year. I took my SATs and I took my ACTs and I took my SAT2s and I loved my score. I approached my teachers and I got letters of recommendations. I wrote my personal essay, my 5 supplementary essays, and I paid the fee, and I got all of that in by November the 1st. And in return, you will assemble a special panel for me where you sit together and recognize how I've put this great package together by November the 1st, and you will have a higher rate of acceptance for me, and I'll know my answer by Christmas. All that sounds great, right? The problem is, if you do early decision, it's binding. How do you know that you can afford Harvard at $60,000 a year in December? when you don't do financial aid until January. So you cannot do early decision unless you got a rich grandpop hanging out. You really should do early action because you get everything that early decision gives you, but it's non-binding. And then there's rolling admission. All the state schools have rolling admission. Rolling admission literally means that the sooner you get it into me, the sooner I get it out to you. When I say that if your son or daughter applied to Shippensburg September 1st, they could have found out September 3rd. But if you're applying to Shippensburg January 3rd, you're probably not going to find out till March. That's what rolling admission means. The earlier you get it out, the sooner I get it back to you, depending on how many applications are sitting on my desk. So would you rather, I always say to kids, would you rather be on someone's desk when it's this high or when it's this high? You'd rather be here, because you're a little bit more generous in the beginning. You know what I mean? It's sort of like when you're watching American Idol or The Voice and you need to have 10 singers. Do you notice they're real generous in the beginning? Like, I want her and I want him. And then towards the end, it could be like Mariah Carey, but they're like, I only have one spot left. So I'm going to be real, same thing with college admissions. So early bird gets the worm is definitely the rule of thumb. All right, academic record. Like I said, this is bare minimum to get a high school diploma, but if we're sitting in here, we are looking to apply to a four-year college, so we need this and then some. So the foreign language question is always the stickler. Do I need a foreign language? If so, how many? What does consecutive mean? If you're looking to go to Montgo, you do not need a foreign language. If you're looking to go to a traditional four-year college, Tier 1, 2, or 3, state schools would like 2 consecutive years of a language. Spanish 1, Spanish 2, French 1, French 2, German 1, German 2. Not Spanish 1, German 1, French 1. So 2 consecutive years is exactly that. If you're going to Villanova or a higher tier, 3 years of a language. If you're going to Harvard, they're probably going to look for 4 and an AP in there somewhere. All right, let's talk about standardized testing. In the packet that I gave you is really, hopefully, useful stuff. One of the things that I put in the packet, besides study strategies, because your GPA is always, is the differences between SAT and ACT. They are different. They are not the same test whatsoever. SAT, and kids will run up to me and say, what should I take? What should I take? Should I take SAT? Should I take ACT? Should I take SAT? Should I take ACT? What do colleges want? And my answer is, colleges want a good score. They do not care where your $52 goes. Yeah, that's how much it is, 52. So they do not care which test you put your money as long as you prove to them that you have studied for it and that you did well. Now, there's some rule of thumbs. The ACT has a science section, so if you want to be a science major, take the ACTs. However, the ACT has trigonometry. If you never went past Algebra 2, you shouldn't take the ACTs. So there are little things like that that you do need to know. The ACT encourages guessing, so you should answer every question. The SAT, you don't have to answer every question. You can omit questions and it's not penalized. These are not secrets. Once you delve into that world, this is all public knowledge. So I did a little quick sheet here. I did all the schools in Pennsylvania that does not require an SAT or ACT. So for the first time ever, Temple University, which is a state-related college, so they get partial money from the state. So Temple is $16,000 a year versus the $10,000 Westchester, and they do not require SATs. However, they will in turn require 4 essays. I put in SAT registration and ACT registration. Today at midnight is actually the deadline for the November 8th SAT, but I'm going to tell you a little secret. For the first time ever, College Board is allowing students with a fee waiver to register up into the late registration line. That's not something we like to make public because then the kid will just push it off until October 28th. But if for some reason your son or daughter missed getting a fee waiver and applying by midnight tonight, get that fee waiver and make sure you apply online by October 28th for the November 8th SAT, held here at Norristown. I gave you a mobile app to study, and I gave you free websites, the top 66 words, so all that good stuff. So I can't tell you every difference at the moment, but they are different. SAT is a problem-solving test. ACT is more about the knowledge of today, like the stuff that your son or daughter learned in class. SAT is not necessarily the stuff that your son or daughter learned in class. It's about problem solving and how quickly they can solve it in that time frame. Colleges do not care what you take. They both have a math, critical reading, and a writing section. I always tell kids to take it twice junior year. Figure out the score, figure out your weakness and your strength, study all summer, and take it again fall of senior year. That is the strategy. For some reason, the message doesn't always get there at Norristown. I've met many seniors who've not taken an SAT until senior year. That makes me nervous because you're putting all your eggs in one basket, that one SAT. So if you had done it junior year, so if there's any juniors in here, for the clearinghouse, please consider taking it spring of junior year. All right, extracurricular profiles. We have talented kids here. So if you're a kid that has done a lot of stuff, I do recommend you put an activity sheet together and a resume. And I'm not gonna send you out cold turkey. I will show you a resume builder on Naviance so that all of your stuff comes out professional looking, and you can ask your counselor to upload it, and we will send it with your college application. Why? Because every other kid in the surrounding school district's doing it. And if you're competing for a spot at Villanova and the Methacton kids' application looks like your application, but you're missing a resume, an activity sheet, letters of recommendations, guess who's gonna get that spot? All right, so let's talk about letters of recommendations. There is a precise way to actually do it. I usually give kids like a little brag sheet, just a simple, school activities, community activities. And then I say to the student, walk up to this teacher that you've had in a class, preferably in your field. So you want to be a doctor, you want to be a nurse, they're looking for a math teacher, they're looking for a science teacher. If they don't see it, it's not going to make or break you, but it is sort of suspicious looking why you don't have a science teacher. So you're going to walk up to that science teacher and you're going to say, hi, Mr. Smith, I had you in physics. I really liked your class. I learned so much. I think I want to be a nurse for X, Y, and Z. I'm applying to Westchester and this and that. Will you do me the honor and the privilege of writing me a letter of recommendation, a general letter of recommendation, and then you hand them the little brag sheet. Then you go back on Naviance and you click the button, which I will show you, add teacher recommendation. Now the teacher gets an email link that says, Julie Smith just added you for a letter of recommendation. And then the teacher writes it and uploads it. So that is the proper way to ask for a letter of recommendation. But handing them a senior brag sheet, I highly recommend it because that's my rule. If you want me to write you a letter of recommendation, you're going to give me some sort of resume or activity so that I have more to say about you. I can talk about you in my class, but I can also, mention maybe the side stuff that you do. So that's my definition of letter of recommendation.